I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. This is April 3rd. It's 6:30 p.m. This is the Infrastructure Oversight Committee, which will be followed by the Economic Development Task Force after we adjourn this meeting. We're going to jump right into it. Roger, why don't you get us going with Agenda 1 being the Route 6 water and sewer update, please?
Sure. So in terms of update, as most of you know, the project's been bid. It's out to bid, I should say. We had a pre-bid meeting on March 27th. And the bid opening was actually scheduled for April 19th at 2 p.m. We had approximately 13 folks attend that virtual pre-bid meeting. Doesn't mean 13 folks are going to bid the project, just means that there was some interest, so that's good. The most notable changes that took place during that pre-bid meeting is the initially we planned for 540 days, or the consultant planned for 540 days of time completion. That's been extended to 730, and we'll see what that feedback looks like. And by that, I mean days of construction to complete the actual project. It's a big project, so it's going to take at least 2 years or maybe more. We also introduced the aspects of the requirements associated with SRF funding. The SRF funding requires that certain documents be included in the bid. Those documents are things like DMBE, disadvantaged minority business entities, women-based business entities, and other aspects that are required by the state to get the low-interest loans that we're pursuing. So in the future, we'll be issuing an addendum to the bid that will include the extension of time and some of the other requirements that SRF is looking for.
The SRF is State Revolving Fund.
Correct. Thank you. Yeah. So in terms of local and Mass DOT permits, we expect that to secure all the required permits before work begins on February 27th. Section 1 of the first part of the project, notice of intent filed with the Conservation Commission, was withdrawn, and the project is refiling the whole project comprehensively to include all 3 sections. Again, we don't anticipate that that's going to impact schedule. Just seems like a cleaner approach.
Roger, when will that be?
I'm not sure what the date is on that.
Notice of intent?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was approved. We do have that final notice of intent.
Oh, okay.
This week,
So good now.
Thank you.
So we refiled it for all 3 sections, and it's been approved.
Yep.
So is that gonna be one bid? Is there one bid for the whole thing?
It's one bid with, it's one bid with 3 sub-bids. They're now called Base, Alt A, and Alt B. That's engineering term for 1, 2, and 3.
So it's not one bid for all of it?
Let me try to explain.
Yeah, he's
hang on,
much better.
So we have to follow what's, Mass General laws with respect to the bidding. So I just want everybody to know it's not like we can go look at just local contractors. There's certain things that we have to do. So, and within those requirements, and this project falls under Chapter 30, 39M, but we're able to bid the project so that the contractor provides us a base bid, which would be that first section that we've talked about up to this point.
Which is how many linear feet long?
That's about 5,000 linear feet.
And then the second phase you're talking about, what's the linear feet in that one?
That one's another.
We go from 5,000 to 50,000 or something like that, maybe?
It's less than that.
Rob, you're asking good questions, but for the record, we have to have you identify yourself every time,
Rob
okay?
Michelle.
Well, let me just run through that, Rob, just with respect to the first question. So we issue the contract with a base bid, and then we ask the contractor to provide us 2 additional numbers for the 2 additional sections. So what is it going to cost to do this first part? What is it going to cost to do the second part? What is it going to cost to do the third part? And the reason why we do that is because if we don't do that, depending on the way the bids come in, we're left with no option to look at just 1 and 2. Or just 1, because if that price comes above or outside the budgeted number, then the town wants to spend, then you're left with nothing done. So it's strategic, it doesn't hurt, doesn't change anything, it just provides options, that's all.
But there's no guarantee that you'll get phase 2 and phase 3 done. They just add alternates. You're only guaranteeing the base bid project, that scope of the work. That's all you're guaranteeing that's being done. That's up to the subject of the town, whether they want to move forward with alternate number 2 and alternate
The
number 3.
town decides whether or not
That's
they want
correct.
to do alternate 2 and then alternate 2.
Correct.
Correct, yep.
I'm gonna see these for
That helps, hopefully that can. So, so as Jim mentioned, the NOI is all set. So the other permits that you have to file associated with the project is the Mass DOT permits. So the Phase 1, the Section 1, I should say, permits were filed and approved by Mass DOT, but we're going back now and asking Mass DOT to approve 2 and 3 as part of an amendment to the initial permit, without having to go into a whole permitting process, and we're waiting to hear back on that. The sewer pump stations, in terms of status, so the town did go out and seek the assistance of a licensed appraiser. The licensed appraiser assigns a value to the easement takings associated with the pump station locations. Those appraisals for properties at 287 and 35 State Street have been successfully completed. The current appraisal values are included in this update, and I can read that off. And the other 2 pump stations that are being looked at in terms of appraisals is 833 State Road and 1115 State Road. So in terms of 35 State Road pump station, we have what's referred to as a permanent easement and then a temporary easement. Temporary easement is just so that the contractor was allowed to get onto the property, do the work, and then once that work is completed, that easement goes away. And this is typically assigned with a time period, so in this case, 3 years. And then we have permanent easements. Permanent easements we can do in 2 different ways. One is permanent easement with the physical structure that's going to be in the way of the site being used. For example, let's say parking. And then we have other types of permanent easements where the town still retains the easement, but they're allowed surface rights. So if it's somebody's parking lot, we put the pipe in the ground. Once the pipe's in the ground, we have that easement, but then if they want to use that for parking, they can go ahead and use that for parking. So we provide that information to the appraiser, and so the appraiser then assigns a value based on the area. And so, I don't know how much you want to get into the actual values of the appraisals.
Well, just put them in for the record.
Okay, for the records, okay, so at 35 State Road, the pump station appraisal received had a permanent easement appraisal value of $23,300 for easement A. This is all on the same property. For easements B and C, which are temporary easements to last three years, those are that's going to be $6,500. And then easement D on the same property is an additional $14,600. So I didn't tally these all up.
And let the record show that that's $44,400 for all 3.
That's strictly for the easements, for the pump stations?
At 35 State Road.
That's just for the first of 4 pump stations. That's the one at La France. That's the big one.
3 years old.
No, so the easement, there's a permanent and then a temporary. The permanent is forever. The temporary is just so, hey, let me get my excavator on there, I gotta drive over your land just for a little bit, and then once I'm done with the work, then we no longer need that, so you get that back. And the reason why we stipulated 3 years, if we think the contract's gonna take 2, a little bit of cushion, we line up to put in 3 years as that. But that goes back to the, once it's done, after the 3 years, it's done.
One quick question on that, Roger.
Sure.
So like one of them is a vacant lot, but a couple of them are operating, and it's not gonna affect their operation at all.
No, I think the goal was always to try to minimize any impacts on the property owner, and I think it's the way they laid out, particularly for example, 287, it's at the bottom of the driveway in an area where I don't think it's going to impact.
Yeah, that was, well, we have good water right here.
Well, I know we talked to, not everybody's like that, but in any case, let me go ahead and just run through this. So we just talked about 35 State Road, 287 State Road. For the permanent easement, easement A, for 287 State Road, it was $9,000. And for the temporary easement, for 3 years, it was $700 for that site. So let's see, so the pump stations located at 35 and 287 are in the base bid. The pump station is located at 833 is an alternate one, or alternate A, if you will. It's the same as one. And the pump station located at 1115 State Road is in alternate B. Interbasin transfer. So one of the things in the critical path, by critical path I mean the schedule that was really a milestone to get taken care of, was the interbasin transfer. That, again, that's just allows the town to transfer water from one basin to another, in this case from Westport to Fall River, as well as drawing from the Northwood Tupper. But in terms of status, on Thursday, March 14th, a presentation was made regarding a draft recommendation from the town of Westport's request determination for insignificance under the Interbasin Act, which highlighted the staff's recommendations of insignificance. So basically, the staff that works for the state came back, we attended a meeting for the Water Resources Commission, and they felt that it was insignificant. And that's what we want to hear. We want to hear that it's not they're not going to see it as a big deal. They're not going to make it a large regulatory process. So that was the feedback. We didn't get a vote at that meeting, but the next meeting's being held on April 11th with the WRC, and we're anticipating that in addition to the staff's recommendation, as a follow-up to the staff's recommendation, that the actual committee is going to vote to approve the status of the project as insignificant. And that's a pretty big deal. Grants and funding. As you all know, we submitted to MassWorks last year. We were denied, but we continue to just keep trying to find money. So we're going to resubmit to MassWorks. We have a schedule in front of us. We're going to seek, even though the project might be underway, we're going to seek what's referred to as mid-project funding. Basically just means that the project's going on and we want you to fund a portion of it before we spend the money. And so we've got the full applications that are open, but initially we'll submit an initial letter of interest to them, followed by the full application, again seeking some additional grant funding.
Yeah. And I have a question. Does anybody, Bob or Manny on the planning board, do you have an update there? Because I know Michael Burris was asking for contact information of various business owners that are contemplating redevelopment along Route 6. Is there any updates you all know of there? No?
No.
Okay.
I think you have some stuff on that, don't you, Warren?
Pardon?
Don't you have some information on that?
I have last year's information, but we are filing again. And we're at MassWorks is a grant. It's free money. It's not, we don't have to pay it back. So we're going to do this.
Well, one of the things that we're looking at is, so this contract, the way it was bid, was the contract is expected to be funded in whole or in part by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, DEP, CWSRF program.
Well, that's state revolving fund.
Right, but it's the DEP. So we have an environmental assessment. So this is what we need to realize when we're directing the town that we want to borrow funding. This is where the borrowing money is going to come, and then we're going to chase all this other grant money. But that's what we're directing. That's who's going to supply us the funds. That's where we're going to get the borrowing, and then hopefully we're going to get debt forgiveness and different things like that with that.
Yep.
Excuse me. You were just asking the question, like, if there was, you're asking pretty much of what we can do to better Route 6, am I correct? As far as new builds, housing, that kind of stuff, right? Am I correct?
That is partially correct. For MassWorks, they want the town.
They want to make sure that they're getting, they want to benefit from it somehow.
Well, they want the town to have a partner in economic development. And so it can be either development or redevelopment, and in that first contract area, there's a lot of potential for redevelopment.
But is that part of the money that we're chasing? You're saying that if we can't comply to housing or something else, if we can't comply to that, then we're not going to get the funds from either federal or state?
Each grant has its own strings attached. I mean, the nearly $1 million we're getting as a federal earmark from Bill Keating is pretty much for the whole project.
They want something.
That's pretty much a freebie, I think, for the project. MassWorks.
Hang on, you're talking about the MassWorks grant?
Mass
I'm
Works,
talking in general for
Mass Works,
funding.
Mass Works wants Mass Works wants a partner, and Mass DEP for the state revolving fund. What they have a complex scoring system, and we managed to get our score up to 530 because we do have a TMDL and we have the Targeted Integrated Water Resource Plan and all that sort of stuff. That's what they're looking for, environmental stuff. Mass Works is looking for economic development stuff.
But we haven't hit that mark, and you know
We
very
did, well, with state revolving fund, we did hit it. We had to go back and fight for it, but we got it.
You think that we have hit that mark?
Yes.
Yeah, but that's a loan, not a grant.
Housing?
That's a loan, not a grant.
No.
No. No, it has to,
How did we hit that mark as far as?
environmental. It's primarily environmental. And Mass Works is primarily economic development.
And this is the report that I contracted.
Yeah, oh God, well, that's all the, the detailed
Because
stuff.
I'm seeing it as, if you bring in big business or you bring in the town, to me, the town, people don't want that. In fact, the last meeting, people say, oh, no, what are we gonna have? Is this gonna look like Eastern Avenue, or is this gonna, people reject that.
None of the projects I know have big business. Bob Carrig wants to build a third Edgewater apartment. Eddie DaCosta and his son Scott, they want to redevelop those little shopping centers. The old motel, 15 units, he wants to redevelop it into 50 units. Meatworks, if they can ever get it going again, they've shut down temporarily. But they need it for expansion, and also to reduce the cost of hauling, the animal effluent to Fall River every
But
day.
it's not enough. It's not enough for
And
what
it's
they want.
along the aquifer.
But those are local. Really, my point is, those are local.
Okay. Try to explain. So the way let's separate the two. First, you have SRF that that means it's strictly an environmental low interest loan with the hope to get some loan forgiveness. And then you have Mass Works, which is, you're right, it's definitely tied into economic development. But it needs a project, not
Yes.
projects. So
I understand.
So if that means, what that means is, if you have a project that wants to, it includes housing, but if you have a project that has, 50 condos, or, that's a project. That's something that they would take, and we would include that specific project.
If you have a project
the
that's
state wants-
stuck, that can't be built because there's no sewer and water,
Yeah, this-
if you have that project, they would certainly go ahead, and if it's a project that you can prove would go ahead, except that it doesn't have a sewer, they'll give you the money to do that.
Well, can I speak? My question is, like, if you look at where most of you will know, like Cartway,
Yeah.
you can't just fill that in and say you're gonna put 50
No.
or 500 houses.
They won't buy
What
that.
someone say to you? You can't say that you're gonna put 500 houses in that. That's not gonna happen. We don't have the land mass to do
No.
what they're expecting, or what they'd expect you to do.
They expect very
You know,
little.
we got behind
Yeah.
Portage.
Yeah.
You got probably, I don't know, probably quite a few apartments. You got Westport Meat Market.
You got the land.
That somebody would do
Turn it
something now.
around.
There's not a lot of land mass that we could, I know that Crystal Pacific has got off of Border Light. Okay, Border Light, we could fit some more in there. It's still not enough to say, that's enticing for the federal government to say, it's okay.
Well, I'll tell you, and I'm gonna monopolize it, but I'll tell you exactly what the folks at MassWorks told us. We had a debrief with them verbatim. And they said, just give us something. Like, all you needed is another 30 points.
Right.
If you've got a little project somewhere, and then after that,
Can we
what
give
you
them
do,
Border Light?
after
Can we give them
that.
Border Light?
No,
And
we did
behind
that.
Portage?
We gave them that.
Is that enough?
No.
Border Light and Portage,
Yeah.
because that's all you got.
Yeah, well, that's what we're trying to figure out.
Or you got, I know there's a big project behind my shop that's in the works,
Sure.
but there's no commitment because of water and sewer.
Right.
You're talking 100 acres,
Yes, we're talking this
Yeah,
one.
Oh.
yeah, exactly. All right.
unless they get a commitment.
Yep.
Well, yeah, you understand it though.
But that's a big project right there.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
So,
Okay.
So I think we touched on 287, that was, we talked about the appraisals, talked about the interbasin transfer, I'm sorry, MassWorks. So PFAS, we're still waiting, I think, for the formal, we're very optimistic. that's gonna come through. That's strictly for water. That'll include the Maycomber Loop, and that's potentially a $4 million grant to the town. And part of that work will include some of the water main in the Route 6 project. So a portion of the Route 6 project, and then the loop that comes back around Osborne Street. So that's very
Roger, can I ask you a question on that? Because I know when we applied for that, we just threw it in that water.
Yeah.
But as we talk about this inter-basin transfer permit, why it was considered insignificant?
Yeah.
Because we can't have just water. So, I mean, that's what makes it insignificant, because the water that we're pumping in goes back to the same source.
Well, it's a little more onerous than that, unfortunately. So basically, the way we came in as insignificant is we were able to get below the million gallons threshold, and there was just to give the folks sort of some respect, I think almost 2 years worth of work just to get to that point, 1.5 years worth of work. So basically, what we're telling by insignificance, we're telling that the project is small enough at this point where we're not going to exceed these thresholds that would require much more comprehensive filing.
Yes, but the limit that we've got for insignificance is hundreds of thousands of gallons. It's not 10 gallons.
Yes.
It's hundreds of thousands of gallons.
Right. Okay.
So it's enough where it's going to serve the project. Yes. So again, $4 million for the PFAS. SRF. As Murray mentioned, the project was listed on the final IUP, which stands for the intended use plan, for the first section. Keep in mind that initially we submitted based on the information we had at that time. Subsequently, the town decided to move forward with all 3 sections, so we know that $7.5 million has been submitted to the SRF for those low-interest loans. And what we've done thus far, we contacted the folks at the SRF. A letter has been sent to them, and we're trying to get them to reconsider either including the project in FY24's IUP, final IUP, or in next year's IUP, where the project will be under construction, but hopefully they can still fund the project even though it's underway.
Tell them what IUP is.
Intended use plan. Intended use plan, final intended use plan. So what the state does, they review all the scoring, and then they list all the projects in the Commonwealth. To give you an idea of how many projects, this year, the total was about, came out to almost $900 million this year. It's not grants. We get people say, it's not a grant. It's a low interest loan with the potential for loan forgiveness, which means they might say, hey, you don't have to pay 10% of it or something like that.
Is that federal or is that state?
It's state, but it comes through the federal government, through the EPA.
It's where the money from the infrastructure bill that was passed, the big federal infrastructure bill, that money flowed into this state revolving fund for water and sewer. That's where the money is.
Is that where that $4 million is coming for the school?
No.
No, that's a different program.
State or is that through federal?
That's
No, it's
state,
state.
but it's federal. I mean, but
State.
it's, yeah,
That's state?
different.
Yep.
It's federal, the state
It's-
manages it the same way. The EPA has to look at it. But with that money, if it goes through, again, it's looking good. And we are overly cautious about saying it's looking good. We don't want to make promises until we see that piece of paper. Is that's $4 million where the town does not have to pay back. That's a lot of money. So we're hopeful.
Now, can I ask you a question with that? Sorry, Mr. Willard.
Good, it's okay.
So you're saying to me, that $4 million that's been allocated, that may be forgiven, is that strictly
No, that's,
for the loop?
it is for the loop, but it's a grant. No forgiveness not
What I'm
necessary.
asking is, that $4 million, is it for the loop for the school?
It includes that loop.
The loop?
Yes.
Not including loop?
And
It's Route 6 and the
And
loop.
a section of Route 6.
It's probably $1 million
So it's
on
pretty much
Route
to take care
Route
of the
6.
school.
And the section of Route 6.
Yeah.
So if you want to know an allocation of how much of that money would go to us, so it's probably close to about 1.75 million of it would offset the water in Route 6 portion, and the remainder of that would be, don't hold me to those exact figures, but the remainder of that would go towards the loop.
Because as far as the loop, you're looking, Davis Road has got water. So Davis Road has got
Yes, it
water.
does.
Yeah.
So if $4 million takes care of Gifford Road, whatever, however way that loop is, to, I don't know, Osborne Street,
Down Osborne.
comes back
Yes.
down.
Yeah.
You're only like, I don't know, 3 blocks from the old folks home, where there's water. That's $4 million right there. Nobody else benefits from it, unless people off of Gifford Road tie.
So let me tell you why
The school ties in.
why that is. When you submit for this application, you have to submit it for, what's referred to as PWS, or Public Water Systems. So when you put the map together and you submit the application, it's not arbitrary, just give me $4 million for some water. It's, give me $4 million, I've got a water system here, so it's gotta go to that location. And then you make the loop. So believe me, the only thing I can say is we stretched that application about as far as you can, and I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Harney, but I think $4 million is the biggest, I think we heard from the state's.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody close in the state to that number.
So, I guess the takeaway is this is a win. I mean, in any other way you
I mean, the
look
school
at
needs
it.
it, the school needs it, so.
And it's going to the school, so irrespective of anything else that might happen, it's definitely a win for the community, I think.
And it would extend the water line in Route 6 from the Housing Authority property all the way up to Washington Street. So it's quite a distance.
To Washington Street?
Yes.
So I got a question. Dave Simcoe, right now, 8 months out of the year, we're blowing off water for some type of a chemical that's in water line now. Is this loop gonna help that? We're
Yes.
paying for this water, and we're
Yep.
also paying, right?
And anytime you can keep the water circulating,
Circulating.
it helps. It's still a dead-end system, so we're still gonna have problems. But the more users we get on the water line, the less problems we'll have.
Right. And what's, the DEP makes us throw the water away because the water can't stand in the pipe unused.
It's gonna be
So if
flushed
the
out.
pipe, if
It's
the
gonna be
pipe
flushed
gets,
out.
the water in the pipe gets old, that is, we're not drinking it, we have to bleed it off so that the water quality stays okay. The more users, the more that we actually have people drinking the water and using the water,
But we're
the
paying for
less,
this water, we throw
the
it
less we have to throw away.
Oh,
Right?
That was the big mess up before, yeah, they were doing too much. Val, can you hear, like when Rui talks, can the people hear him at home, or does he have to get up to the mic? I turned the mics on, could you just hear Dave and Rui? I thought so. So just so other folks,
Sorry.
no, that's fine, I'd rather, it keeps us moving, but if anybody else wants to talk, please go to the mic so the people at home can hear you. That's one of the reasons why I had it here, because it's live, okay? All right, go ahead.
Okay, so we touched on the state revolving fund, we touched on Mass Works. The other application that went in for funding was the congressional directed spending request. So Michael Burris, the planning office, effectively sought some funding for the 2024 congressional direct spending through Congressman Bill Keating's office for funding in the initial section from Fall River to like Mass Works, more or less, and through Representative Keating's endorsement and assistance through the appropriations process, the town was awarded an additional $959,752. So almost another $1 million. It's looking like the town's going to get, and so. So we did just want to mention that we did receive support from Senator Rodriguez, Representative Schmidt, and the Buzzard Bay Coalition, making this a significant sort of advancement for the sewer project's first phase. We've already begun, actually working with Michael, sent him an email today, we've already begun working on reapplying to the CDS, Congressional Direct Spending, for 2025 to see if there's a way to get some additional money. So again, it's $959,000 in addition to the $4 million we just mentioned, potentially for the project.
So right there, just so people understand, we've got 5 million, not locked in yet, but possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
But
so
that-
everybody understands.
But that 1 million from Keating is locked in, because
That's
that's,
the circle.
for those of you who follow the news, you know that the President Biden signed a budget bill a week ago, last Sunday, and $959,000 was in that budget bill. And it's also called an earmark. But the Congress doesn't like to call them earmarks anymore.
Can I ask you a question? Why isn't Paul Schmidt or Mike Rogers here tonight?
What?
That town, why neither one are not here tonight? Paul Schmidt or Mike Rogers? The town residents,
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, they're all our friends,
Yeah.
pretty much.
This was just a
But
regular
you
meeting.
not
so-
invite, no, but
Yeah.
like, you not, you
Understand.
think he should have been invited?
I don't know if we.
Why haven't we invited him?
Yeah,
They're right on top of it, trust me, they know everything, they
I know,
ask
but
me
you know what,
weekly.
Steve, they should be here. They're residents, you know, they're
They're
local.
residents, no, he owns there. Mike's, I know Mike's in Boston, I don't know where Paul is, they're in session right now.
Couple of questions I got.
going to the
I
microphone.
thought Roy had you covered.
I kind of did, he kind of did, Robin shot him. Yeah, following the money again. Getting back to the 5 million. That's additional 5 million beyond, say, the 8 million. In other words, phase 1.
4 million.
No, phase 1 is how much for the sewer?
Call it $8 million.
Okay, gotcha, 8. So that 8 is already accumulated, you have the 8.
No,
We received from the SRF, the State Revolving Fund, word that the first section was put on the intended use plan, the final plan, which just means that that first section is eligible, or portion of the project is eligible for low-interest loans.
Gotcha.
So it's not a grant necessarily.
Yep. The low-interest loans, that would be for the construction of the system itself, nothing to do with the tie-ins. But getting back to phase 1 again, so it's an $8 million project, so we only got 4, correct?
no, we got 7 plus 1. We got the
you got
$1
the
million
8.
from Keating, and that'll do it.
I
Gotcha.
think he's talking
So-
about the 4 million for the loop.
No, I'm just sticking, I'm following the money.
That's actually in contract too.
I'm
the
sticking
old
on phase
contract,
1. That's 8 million right there at phase 1 for the sewer pipeline on phase 1, nothing to do with tie-ins. Then getting back over to where we're suggesting to add water, that would be another 4 to run it down to the school, or is that 1.8 down to the school, up
So there's
Osborne?
the 4 million for the water line would be about $1 million or $1.5 million on Route 6,
Yep.
of the 35.
Yep.
And then the rest would be just water only loop up
Right.
Osborne,
And that'll get you down to
Macklemore, back
Washington Street,
Gifford.
and that'll get you up Osborne Street, pulled back out to
Yeah.
Route 6 again.
But not the sewer, but at least the
Right,
water
right,
gets paid
but that gets
for.
us to 12 million, correct?
Yeah, but you're mixing grants with loans here.
No, I understand what I'm mixing, but what I'm doing is just following numbers. It's called
Yeah.
general equation, you
Yeah.
know? And so in a case like this, we're at $12 million.
Yeah.
And
that's
how
one way
much
to
of that
look at
12
it.
million do we have?
Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much of the 12 million do we?
So I hear everything you're saying, but
Yeah.
I think we're still conflating, so we have, there's $4 million that we hope to get for water work, just water, for that PFAS.
Yeah.
That includes the Maycomber route, and then a section.
No, I understand that. I think everybody else here understands that. We're talking 4 million down wrapping around the water. We're talking 8 on 6. Correct.
First phase.
The
First phase only.
is in
Yep,
that
first
section.
phase only.
Yeah, so that's just for the sewer,
Yep.
and that 8 million, just sewer, 8 million sewer, SRF, 8 million sewer, SRF. That's
Gotcha.
a low interest loan.
So when the bid went out for the say, you got it broken up into 3 phases, 6, second and third on 6. How much is the price for the sewer work just on 6 for phase 2 and phase 3?
So, I'd have to look up to see the exact, I can look that up with the exact number.
Gotcha.
The bid's in, the bid's not in.
Yeah, the bid's on in.
No,
They're not in, the bids are not
no,
in.
but
I think he's thinking the estimate.
We're hoping 35, are you?
Right, well, the 35 would be for the run of the entire unit. We've already got 8 for the first half, so you take the 8 out of the 35. So that second bid should come in the late to mid-20s, right? For
Steve,
2 and
It's
3?
gonna be
Okay, hang on, Jim,
15, 16, 17
Just to be
probably.
clear, we don't have the 8 yet, we have approval to borrow 7.5 million.
Yeah.
Right,
So we don't
that's what
have
we
it.
got.
It's just like we could go on the open market and borrow the 7.5 million ourselves.
Yep.
Or we can borrow from the state.
No, who,
The state's a little bit less, so we really,
Yep.
the only money we really have, we have $1 million that we hope to get from the federal government for the first phase.
Yep.
And we hope to get 4 million for the PFAS, and those are both hopes. We really don't have any money in our pocket.
yeah, because I seen on the last pamphlet, one of the meetings, it says, phase 1 funding completed,
No.
you know?
I-
And so, all right, so that's not there. So basically, we ain't got a lot going on, really, do we? I mean,
No, I guess it depends on how you,
No, that's fine, man.
I guess it depends how you look at it. I mean, $5 million, a lot of communities would be really, really happy about. I know it's a large project, but that's a pretty good chunk of change.
Well, and when you have, when Congress sends a letter to you that you got
Did you say you hope
big
to have it?
Yes.
$9 million, I mean, $900,000, you got 900,000.
No.
So nothing's changed, is what you're saying?
no, pretty much.
Thank you.
One thing we should mention here is that the state revolving fund, yes, it's $7.5 million, but it's a loan, and we have to get approval from the voters at the ballot box on the 9th and town meeting on May 7th.
Sorry, that's gonna be a tough sell, I'm sorry.
That's what we told you.
I know, listen, I'm the first one to tell you, Mr. Willard, I was a firm believer right from day one. I said, we need to chase federal money. We need to chase federal money. You cannot put this on the backs of these town people. South End's not gonna pay for the North End.
Yep.
Okay? This is a big problem. This is a health problem right now. Okay? We're drifting far away. Okay? I think people are losing sight. Don't get me wrong. We need this. We're not gonna get it on the ballot box. I'm sorry.
You're right, you're right.
You know this. We've been here once before. I can do whatever I can to get all these people out to vote. I'll tell you what, I'm pretty damn good, but I don't know if I can make it. I can't give you my word, okay? I can give you a word, I want to try, but why should the South End pay for me?
Why did the South
There's
End?
a problem in the North End of West
Why did the
Marlboro.
South End pay for
They
a
are not
school?
gonna pay for more.
Why did the South End want to pay for a school if they didn't have kids? Why did I
Well,
vote for that
you know
school?
what?
I have no
It's a different
kids.
story.
They're graduating.
Listen,
It's the same
it's a
thing.
different
It's
story.
community spirit and for the betterment of community.
Listen, we've needed, you know what? I think people came to terms that a high school was needed. A police station was needed. A fire station was needed. Get with the times, like, you need to move on.
All right, Mandy's got it, go ahead.
Well, and the more important thing is the environmental impact that's needed.
Yeah.
So we have an environmental assessment of all of Route 6, and I just skimmed through it, okay? So in skimming through it, what it's telling me is the groundwater contamination is now migrating into the aquifer. It's seeping through the ledge.
Man, nobody cares.
Well-
People don't care. South End doesn't care.
These-
Okay, it's not on their property.
Guys.
End of story.
Guys.
They don't care, they're not gonna pay for it.
Okay.
Well, I think some of the feedback I've been getting from, and I know we got the watershed on the side, we got Buzzards Bay on the side.
Yeah.
I mean, Corin, that.
I live in the South End, I'm
Anybody
voting
with
for it.
conscience-
I'm working for it.
No, because you got a conscience, you're saying, you know what, we need to clean this up. I understand that, but the average person's not gonna go with that, okay? It's sad, but that's the way it
My
is.
feeling on this, on the ballot right now, this vote that we have next week, so if it does get shot down when we had the vote, I think what we need to do at that point is, before town meeting, I would like to, we also have other stakeholders here. We have the DEP, and we have Mass Highway. And I think our next meeting, we should invite, I had his name here, from the drinking water supply from the DEP and Mass Highway. I've been in touch with Mass Highway with some issues that we're having with stormwater on Route 6. They have a plan already. They've used our sewer plan to design it, because as we know, the first thing you put in the ground is sewer. Now you gotta put drainage, because it's gonna be at a certain elevation. The water can go in and around it. So they've designed around us, and they're actually waiting for us. So one of these things about the grant, the PFAS grant money for Macumber, I mean, we kind of threw that in there because it got thrown in there quick. We haven't applied for that yet for Route 6. With this notice of intent, I believe, Chris went to Washington with us. We hadn't gone to the DEP, we went to the Senate, but we're gonna go up there again for that. This PFAS grant money, they changed the rules a year ago, January, and put this stuff in there. The money's there. We have this site on Route 6. I mean, Steve says, he the last time he went down Route 6 with Bonnie Frank. So, you know, I have an article from when Bonnie Frank was there, when the DEP was called the DEP.
Can I tell you something? When is public health gonna be, when is public
That's
health?
what this is right
When
now.
is public health gonna matter?
Well, that's why.
It doesn't matter to anybody in here, maybe Mr. Wooler or somebody else who lives in North End. It doesn't matter to anybody else, okay? If they got a cesspool, or if they have a cesspool, you think they're gonna put their hands up and say, I got a cesspool? And you know, every time they pump systems, the town knows. Whether it's a septic, whether it's a cesspool, whether it's failed,
No, and
all that information's coming in.
they're tracking them down and they're making them spend money to change them.
So Rui, anyways, going to Tuesday, you went for the whole not you, we decided as a whole to go for the whole enchilada, the whole Route 6, and the wording was greater, okay? So now it's a lot bigger piece of the pie, whereas we were starting off with contract 1, phase 1, just up to 88. That's originally what we were going with. And all you guys were there, everybody wanted it.
You're right.
But we told you it was going to be a tough battle.
Yes,
but that's
absolutely.
what we were shooting for. So what you will get out of Tuesday, like I said at our last meeting, is we'll get a head count. Everybody's in a booth. Nobody sees what you're writing.
But here's the deal.
Hey, let me finish. You're going to know what areas support and which don't. You might have a surprise. You might have the South End more than the North End.
Mr. Willett,
Yeah.
no, but listen, here's the deal.
Yeah.
The problem is, there's no public health, okay?
Yeah.
You know, and Maury knows, that if I can't give you something that's gonna be worth it, it's not gonna work. You had people here the last time, is my property gonna look like Eastern Avenue? Because they don't wanna see change. Of course nobody wants to see change, right?
Yeah.
There may be change.
They want to see a Starbucks.
I personally don't think there's gonna be a lot of change, because you got small lots, I mean, what could possibly?
It would be nice, but like I said last time, you gotta face reality, and this is the state of Mass. There'll be 40 Bs and 40 Rs thrown at us because we have infrastructure. You gotta know what's out there. Go ahead, Manny.
So for the most part, like you said about the change, you know what the change is gonna be? The change is gonna be for public health and the environment. That's what the change that's going down Route 6 is gonna be. You're gonna see, we're gonna be able to, you can't have a restaurant now because you don't have a, all we got is grandfather.
We're not pushing it. We're not pushing it.
We're
not pushing it. So it's gonna be on the backs of all these town residents to come out and vote.
Corinne, can you go to the mic? I don't think you're as loud as us, sorry.
Oh, I can. Hi, Corinne Peterson from the Buzzards Bay Coalition. I wanted to talk a little bit why this is a town-wide north and south benefit. This is like the trifecta of projects for the town of Westport. And the Buzzards Bay Coalition, we work with a lot of municipalities all around Buzzards Bay. And I wish that we had sewer projects and water projects that were as amazing as this one could be, because you have environmental protection. People in the South End are going to vote for this because they want a healthy river. That's what they're concerned about. In 2018, the town of Westport, through their integrated watershed management plan, the planning board went out, they hired a consultant, they looked at all of the sources of nitrogen to the Westport River. The federal government came out and said, you have a nitrogen limit on the river and you have to get rid of your biggest source. The biggest source was septic systems, primarily all the density in the north end. So you have your largest load of nitrogen that's polluting the river is coming from these septic systems. This project solves that. It solves it for the public health reasons in the north end. People who have cesspools, who have high nitrates in their drinking water wells and the PFAS in their wells, this project solves that. It solves the nitrogen pollution for the folks in the south end that live along the river. I've been on the phone with hundreds of coalition members, nearly 1,000 people over this last week, encouraging them to get out and vote in favor of this project. So Rudy, if you do the north end, I'll do the south end.
When it comes to the rivers, a lot of it runs through Red Cheese Brook, headed down that way. A lot of the phase 1 sewer system that really drifts towards what you call the aquifer and the drinking water, that's where that goes. But to hear out my question is, your goal would be to have the sewer system run down the entire Route 6.
Yes.
And pick up the Red Cheese Brook.
Absolutely. So if you map all of the septic systems and cesspools that exist in the town of Westport. And so septic systems that were built before 1975, they are right there. If you look at the map, they're all clustered in that area. If we can get sewer,
What area is that?
the bread and cheese, that, right, the headwaters,
Exactly.
right there.
Yep.
And so if we can get sewer to those people, I mean, there's just so many multiple benefits of this project.
Yep, yep.
So we're on board, and we're on board to get our members
And
out on
most of the
Tuesday.
people that are here tonight are from the Route 6 area.
Mm-hmm.
They're also on board as well. But our goal is to shoot for the entire trunk line. Get that right down the trunk line. That's the Buzzards Bay's gold. That's everybody's gold inside this room. And,
It's, I mean, it's an improvement to the health of the river, it's a public health improvement, it's an improvement to people's homes, it allows for controlled. We, oh,
We're the north end, south end, we love this town.
Yeah.
We love our water, we love everything about it.
Why wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Why wouldn't you? It's such a unique, beautiful place to
Absolutely.
live.
Thanks for bringing us back down to earth, Corin.
Can I just say one thing?
If you're gonna be positive,
I don't-
something's negative.
No, I wanna put some people at rest. I wanna put some people's minds at rest. Because I know the last time we had met, there was people, like, if water runs through my property or sewer runs through my property, no one's obligated to do anything. Like, you're not obligated. The only thing I can tell you, so if water or sewer runs through your property is benefiting from it.
That's right, tie-in.
You're not obligated to do anything.
Correct.
I'm not coming up with 10 grand, I'm not coming up with 15 grand. I don't want it right now.
Correct.
You don't have to do a thing. People need to know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
They can just, the only thing I can tell you is that you have, if it goes by your property, you have bettered your property.
Golden opportunity.
Pretty, okay? So I just want people to know
I
that.
got you.
You're not obligated to do anything. It's not no money. I don't gotta go take a second loan. My kid doesn't have to go to, can't go to school. No. You don't have to do a thing. End of story.
We got it. But, we've been to some of the meetings, Corinne's absolutely right, it's been working
I gotta
hard.
pay one way or another.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I do.
Yeah, we move it.
Yeah, Paul, give Paul a shot.
Hi,
Do you think we can hear you?
yeah, I'm loud.
Go ahead.
All right, I just think that Corinne, what Corinne was saying, needs to go, somebody from the shorelines needs to be here. The situation is exactly what she said, they just don't understand. Northwest, doesn't matter what part of Westport we're in, water meets water.
It's, has anybody seen the Shoreline Talk copy?
Yeah,
It's almost 100% for this project.
Yeah,
Because he called me up for comments this week, I said, is there any negative? He said, no.
okay.
So it's all positive.
Ted Hayes writes the articles, and he writes them from the videos that are on YouTube that are being, taken right now. He doesn't
Well,
physically
but-
come.
Shit
You do
meets
see a
shit.
sign down
Water
there,
meets
but
water.
whatever.
Do you know what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're located, water will meet water.
Absolutely.
It's very important.
Can I
All right,
shine,
go ahead,
thank you. Can I shine the light on the issue? The goal from the state is correct, the riverfront, you know?
No.
And so,
And drinking water.
yep, it is, that's right. But if we don't get the trunk line in place, there can be some legal repercussions as well. That's all I like to say.
We understand, we're working on it. Like we said, it was a vote, it was a democracy, everybody voted to go for the big one. And we'll have to address it after Tuesday, what we do next.
Yep.
All right, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Roger, are you finished? No, you have a few final comments, I
Pretty
think.
much covered.
Sorry if I went a little quick, but I just sensed.
Oh, that's fine.
You got action items here.
Yeah, I think.
Quick question, Mr.
I
Willett.
had nothing to.
Yes means water and sewer? I know that the sign
35 mils
says,
both, correct? Yes.
it means both, right? Because I know it says, some of the
You
signs.
don't have the
say
word.
water.
We ought to be clear what the vote is, what the ballot question is. The ballot question is, and if I'm not right,
I'm looking for the wording
you
when you
can
talk.
correct me, but the ballot question simply says that it authorizes the Board of Selectmen to borrow money as a debt exclusion.
Correct.
That's what it says. Doesn't say 35, doesn't say 7, it says it authorizes the Board of Selectmen to borrow money under a debt exclusion. And what the debt exclusion means, if we just go out, if the town goes out and and borrows money, that gets paid back on our taxes, right? So everybody knows that your taxes, the town borrows money, the town's borrowing it for us, we pay it back. So it goes into taxes. And that goes on forever. If you do a debt exclusion, it is only for, if you borrow the money for 20 years, it doesn't go up on the taxes forever. It is only for that amount, it is only for that project. When that project is paid for, it doesn't reflect in the taxes in the future. So that's what we're trying to the vote on Friday is just, I'm sorry, the vote on Tuesday. is just to authorize the selectmen to borrow money under a debt exclusion provision. And the reason we have to ask the voters to do that, they're the only ones who can tell the selectmen to do that. So that's that fight. And it should be a fight that's easy to win because it doesn't obligate the town to borrow any money. It just allows them to do it as a debt exclusion, which benefits all of us. So look, everybody should be in favor of this, but people aren't because, oh, it just opens the door to something. Doesn't open the door to anything except save us money.
All right, so it's a one-page ballot on Tuesday. It's not a contested race, so I can mention the name that's above it. Right above the question is Mr. Thatcher, okay? And the exact wording is, shall the town of Westport be allowed to exempt from provisions of Proposition 2 1/2, so-called the amount required to pay for the bond issued in order to engineer, design, and construct water and sewage systems in the greater Route 6 area. And then all you do is fill in the box with your pen at the bowl, yes or no. It's simple.
Right.
All right? And then
that's great.
So it's pretty simple, okay?
And so that's what the vote says.
Thank you.
Now we get to the town meeting, then it's, how much are we gonna borrow? How much money do we have? Have these grants all come through? Where are we? You know, and then that's when it authorizes the borrowing. And right now, the total water and sewer in Route 6 is 34 and change is the construction cost. 34 million.
It's rising like the stock market. Last time we heard it was 30 grand.
So one thing it's really important to reiterate here. So real quick, yes, the question says 35 million. There's not a single person sitting at these tables that expects the taxpayers of Westport to put up $35 million for this project. Right. We're going, we went to DC a couple weeks ago, we're going to keep going back, but they have to see some buy-in from the town too, even if it's just from a ballot question or a town meeting. So again, the bottom line is we don't expect the Westport taxpayers to be on the hook for $35 million. What we expect is the buy-in to go back and keep finding every grant we can possibly find.
Are they looking for commitment? And maybe we'll get federal funds?
At the very least, they're looking for some buy-in, and a yes on that question absolutely shows that buy-in.
Ask us next Wednesday, we'll have a better idea.
So there's, you know, like this is going to allow us to build it, to borrow money. Jimmy, Mike at the planning board, Chris and myself and Evan went to work. We're going to keep shaking the trees to get as much money as we can in every direction. We haven't tapped into the EPA stuff yet. We're just touching the tip of the iceberg. We're not gonna stop this, you know, because again, this is only the backbone of the whole sewer. We gotta keep.
Where's all that federal money?
It's out there. We gotta ask for it.
Who would take federal money?
We gotta ask for it.
Where's the federal money?
This PFAS regulation is January. They changed it. Was it the January before? They just changed all new regulations for it, and that's federal money. We're gonna try to chase that. But we got a project that, you know, we borrow the money to start building it. We're gonna keep trying to chase the money.
So what are the betterment fees for the homeowners and businesses?
Well, so that's one of my questions. Like, I don't think anybody can answer that question right now, because how we get the money. I mean, if you're gonna get grant money, like if you're looking at the way I look at Route 6. So back in when it was the DEPE, the DEQE was when that water main got put in. So this trunk line should have went all the way to the end, because there was documentation of what came out of the Dartmouth into Lake Nokichoke that spilled into the river. So it should have been done at that time. So there was no betterments on any of that. So this PFAS stuff now is sewer and water. So what's existing on Route 6, I don't see that there's gonna be a betterment charge to them to put that in. I could be wrong, but nobody can answer that question right now. We don't know.
Yeah, but you don't know if you're getting the $4 or $5 million either, right? So, I'm just asking a question, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Did you have one, I know Paula's got something, did you have anything wrapped up? All right,
I think we need a PowerPoint presentation next time.
We're gonna need
You guys
another one,
hire
yeah.
people to do this, and so everyone's questioning the money, is it this amount, what's guaranteed, what's not guaranteed?
We just spelled that out. Yeah, Jim, go ahead. Jim's doing the budget update. That was our next thing on the
Sorry,
I
agenda.
think we got most of the budget.
Sorry, Jim.
Come on,
We need
Jim.
more work.
Just on the betterments, I feel like the bearer of bad news, but the betterments themselves, right now, as it's proposed, the betterments would be charged to the property owners for the installation of the sewer only. The water would not be included in the betterments. So for a single-family home, we're looking right now at an EDU, as they call it, would be roughly $7,000 to $9,000, depending on what the bids come in, because it's all based on the bids. If the bids come in real high, that could go up a little bit. If they come in low, it can go down a little bit. But right now, as it's set up in the town meeting warrant, 20% of the overall cost of just the sewer, not the water, would be borne by the property owners abutting Route 6.
Now, Jim, how do they pay that betterment?
So that betterment can be paid two ways. You can pay it up front, or you can pay it over 20 years. If you pay it over 20 years, it would be a 5% interest on that.
What if it's one of these senior citizens that we got over there that can't afford it?
So there is a provision in one of the articles that we have, so if the senior qualifies for tax exemption now, or tax, and I know, I'm gonna follow up on the terminology, but there's a tax exemption that they qualify now with the assessors. They could also qualify for this, and that would delay all the payments until they either sold the property or passed on. There aren't a lot of people that qualify for that, but it is in the provision.
So where would the responsibility lie when they sell the property? On the buyer or on the
So,
seller?
It's on the owner of the seller.
Seller. So
but
if you
that could be worked out in the agreement too, right? Whoever's buying the property can take over that.
so if you worked it out as a 20-year payback, and you sold the house 5 years down the road, you'd have to pay back whatever the balance would be.
The town releases that we sign off on the deed.
Yeah,
We do it now with
both ways,
subdivisions.
right? You could either pay it off at that point, or
Yeah.
you could continue to pay the $500 a year for the 20 years.
Even if you sold the house?
Even if you sold it.
You might have a situation where the sewer and water, it's really the sewer that has the betterment charges. Just a scenario. The sewer comes in front of your house, it jumps the value of the house, pick a number, 25 grand, and you paint a for sale sign, put it on the house, and you end up making one betterment payment of $111, and you put 25 grand in your pocket.
So hopefully when you sell the house, you have enough money to pay off, enough
Yeah.
home money because of the increased value of the house. What's the hope on the time frame? I mean, I know there's a lot that has to be figured out, but what's the hope for the time frame before people will be able to start tying in? I know that's a big loaded question. Are we talking 3 years,
Roger, you got that?
5
Yeah,
years?
I think that right now the contract provides for a 2-year construction period. I think that's aggressive, if I'm gonna be honest. But by the time they complete the contract, get everything online, we're still looking, I think, closer to 3 years, I would say.
The notice of intent is only maximum good for 5, correct?
Yeah, but you extend.
No, once you have to start. You have to, if you start your order of conditions, it's valid, and you can extend it.
So just real quick, on the town's website, there are a lot of questions, good questions, but there's an FAQ, and there's, I think, maybe 30 or 50. Everything that was just brought up is on and it's really easy to reference and get to.
Questions and answers.
Yeah, questions.
It's
and
the lead
answers.
on the town's website, westport-ma.com, and it's a lead.
And there's also, with respect to the betterments, we did do one, at least, maybe 2 public meetings, maybe you were there, talks about how the betterments are going to be allocated. That's also on the town website if you're interested.
All right, so I think we got everybody up to date. Is anything going to be added? Anybody have any other questions before we wrap up this meeting? All right, if you could identify yourself, please, for the record.
Mark DeShades.
Okay, thank you.
$7,000 to $9,000 just for sewage per home. Is that what you said?
Well, right now, they're not gonna have a betterment on the water. You'd have to tie it into your house, don't get confused. It's a betterment to bring it to your property line on everything we're talking about. Then you gotta bring it into your house and you gotta make any modification or whatever you gotta do.
Now, how about the water end?
The well, from the street to the house, you mean?
Yeah, the water, we're talking about sewerage and water, aren't we?
That's what the hope is, yeah.
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 Any rough estimates on what the water tie-in might cost eventually? Similar amount?
From the street to the
property line? So
Yeah.
so let me just back up. So the sewer will bring stubs to everyone's property line, which means you don't have to dig into the state layout, and you don't wanna do that if you have, but, same thing with the water, so we plan on stubbing out, bringing to your property line, water and sewer, where you don't have it now. And then the cost associated from bringing it to your property line to your home or business, that's borne by the property owner. And so, as soon as that pipe for sewer is in front of your home, you'll issue a betterment. The water's being paid for through the debt exclusion, so there's no betterment for the water portion. And so your cost would be the betterment for the sewer, bringing that sewer to your property line, to your home.
To your home,
And any future costs associated with user fees, what you pay for the water.
You pay yourself.
Is it a 100-foot run, or is it a 25-foot?
Steve, quick thing, with the, all right, so say for instance, we go ahead and we do this. So they're putting water and sewer down Route 6. At what point do residents, like, are residents gonna get charged a betterment once the project is done? Or are residents gonna get charged the minute they start?
No, when it's done.
When it's
So once the
operational.
project is done, complete water and sewer,
Well, when it's in front of your house.
when it's in front of your house, so it comes by my house?
Let Jim clarify that. Why don't we clarify that? We gotta pay for the project, so.
Well, I think the provision allows you to do sort of depending, because imagine if it were 5-year, 10-year, I'm not saying it is. So I think the provision allows, the Mass General Laws, Chapter 83, the provision allows for the betterment. I think it allows for 2 ways mid-project, depending on how long the project, and then all at the end. So if it's all at the end, the town would have to seek some short-term.
Right, because I'm, like, if it came to my house, I mean, technically, I can't get water or sewer. So you're saying the minute you put a stuff there, yep, you're gonna be 10 grand. That's not gonna work.
You're talking about at the end of your street.
You're gonna do it.
So we did check on
But
this.
you're not gonna have water there.
We did check on this, and it's gonna be, we're gonna assess after completion.
After completion.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Understood?
What's
So after completion.
What it's also gonna do for you, if you happen to be selling your house in between there, right now under Title V, you have to do your septic upgrade. And that's been costing
Right.
$40,000 plus. So, but what happens with now you could sell your house, sewer's coming, you don't have to do that septic upgrade. As long as it's not a public health threat. If it's a public health threat, then you can do some kind of repair solution to solve it. So that goes away.
My question is, so it's after it's done, completed, that you get.
The bill. As it stands right now, yeah, if it does.
I was told the last meeting that there is towns that have put it in, and the minute it goes by your house,
Well, by right.
the system's
You
not.
can do it both ways,
I was
right?
gonna
You
say-
can do an estimated cost and charge them up
No,
front. or you
I'm
can do
alright
it
with
upfront.
after it's completed.
But you've got to remember, that's how we're funding the project, is with the.
I understand
department.
that.
All
It should
right,
be after it's completed.
I got you. Mr. Simco.
So the 35 million, does that include the stub outs to these properties? Or
Yes.
the 35 million
Yes.
is just the pipeline? So all the
It's with the stub outs.
every
Street, not to every house, to every street. It's a big enough stub out for the street.
No.
Except like
Every-
Mr. Shant that's right on the road.
Every
yeah.
house,
Every house that's on Route 6.
every house and business,
street.
and even if you have an empty lot,
Yeah.
if you got a business on one lot, you own a lot next door, each lot gets a sewer connection.
Correct.
So every lot that's buildable, and every existing building, everyone will have a stub in front of your business or in front of your house.
The option, correct?
We got the answers.
Option, correct. Yeah. Bob, just so they understand, because a lot of them are right on Route 6, they have the option of the stub, or is it going to be mandatory, because that's the fee? If they say no.
We're paying for the stub to go to
We're
the
paying for
property
the
line.
stubs right to
So
the
they're covered.
property.
Okay, I just wanted to
So
make sure we're.
nobody,
Can you just come a little bit closer?
no one will end up with a sewer in Route 6, but they've got you know, 25 feet of concrete pavement to get up. The stub will be brought to everyone's property line.
Got it. Okay, sir, go ahead, and identify yourself, please.
John McIntyre. My question is, you always talk about sewer, but don't really include water. Is it gonna be sewer and water?
Yes.
Yeah, the contract is sewer and water.
The way they planned it out is that we were gonna charge for the water. The water was gonna go up with the sewer, part of the project.
We're not gonna charge betterments for
Betterment, excuse me, betterment.
We are gonna,
It's part of the overall project,
a stub.
but not a betterment,
Yes.
correct.
We
We
are
put a
gonna
stub
have
as you go, yes.
So, and the other thing is, so when Kleinfeld designed this trunk line to accommodate the whole town, so they will buy properties like that, they know what size stub they're gonna leave there, they know what this is why this whole trunk line was calculated the way it is, because everybody was taking into consideration what's on the line, and those neighborhoods, Railroad Park and Westport Factory.
and the tributary streets, so
Right.
it's designed for the whole, to serve the whole north end. You know, it's designed to serve the whole north end. We're just building the big spine part first.
And one of the big things about the trunk line is everything's getting taken out of the state layout. So that was our problem when the water main went in the first time, and it was costing these homeowners and everybody too much money to get it out of the layout. And like I said, we need to have a meeting right after this vote with Mass DOT and the DEP, and I know they have stormwater plans ready to move forward. They're waiting on us to get this
Yeah,
thing
we'll
done.
keep going, we just gotta wait for the vote. All right, anything else to add before we wrap it up, guys?
Yeah, I just want to.
Robbie, if you wanna wrap it up, go to the mic, please, go ahead.
Yeah, I just like to say.
No, I just wanted to do a housekeeping thing, like on the next meeting.
I wanna hold off for the vote, because we're gonna have guests. I wanna wait till after next week to do the next date, because we're gonna see who needs for guests.
Okay, we don't want to have a meeting right after the vote?
Immediately after?
Immediately?
No, I'll take a poll of everybody right after, because
Okay.
we need the game plan. Go ahead.
I'd just like to say to everybody on the board here, thank you for working on this, but I believe it's everybody's goal here to get this entire trunk line going, am I correct?
You had a unanimous vote, why do you even have to ask that, Robbie?
Well, I'm just making sure.
We all took the knife to go for the whole big project. Remember, we started with a little piece.
And so there's dedication, he's in contract one.
Yeah, I know.
He wants it all the way to the end.
Yeah, he's a good man.
He's for the
Good man,
town.
community spirit.
Let Bob rock out, please.
Yeah, I have a concern about, particularly in the light of, there will be no votes, and it's just the way the world is. But we've got the money that we got a chance to borrow in the SRF fund, and Roger spoke about it earlier that this year there's about $900 million. What's really unique about this time, and it gets lost in the conversation, but all the money about the federal money coming in and all of that has really happened. It's sitting in these loan funds. And what's sitting there now is roughly about 4 times as much as normally gets filled in, because we had the infrastructure bill and that money flowed into the states. And so now there's this pool of money that's sitting there that's 3 or 4 times larger than what normally gets put in annually by the federal government. And so, you want to borrow money when there's actually money in the bank, and so now there's money in the bank. And this is not this is not a problem that's going to solve itself. Either the town does this or it doesn't. People still got the health problems, they still got bad drinking water. We need to act. The difficulty of not acting now is we've got, and Roger and Jim are a little bit more conservative than I am, but the state has put us on the intended use plan for fiscal year 25. That's correct? Right. Fiscal year 25 starts July 1. Right. If we don't do it this year, where does that money go?
Everybody else.
Yeah, what is that, what was the $4.5 million from?
You lose it after
That's right.
12 months.
Oh, oh, I know where it goes. It goes to Fairhaven. They were number 2 on the
This is our
list.
last, this is probably our last opportunity to do this.
If we don't use the money, and we come back next year and say, oh, we were only kidding,
Yeah, I know.
you know,
This
we
is our
really
last
want it.
opportunity.
And I, for one, you know, don't want to have a conversation with Representative Keating if he gives us, you know, $959,000 to build a sewer, and then we're going to go back and say, it didn't work, we really can't do it, but next year we're going to change your mind. Could you give us the money then? No, you know,
Party's over.
we're putting a lot of work that these people did to go and get this money, and most importantly, that guy. And you know, it's really a shame.
All right.
Well,
So, Tom, I want to wrap it up.
Let me say one more thing.
Go ahead, man.
So, you know, and Bob just signed on for another 5 years. He's running unopposed. And this man right here, the effort that he puts in for this town, I mean, it should not go lightly.
Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you, appreciate it. All right, Tom, send me the building. All right.
Thanks, Steve. Tom Auburn, Brookside Avenue. Going back, I don't know if it was a year or 2 ago, I believe the town dodged a bullet somehow or other in terms of the state coming down and forcing us to clean up the situation with the nitrates going in.
Yeah.
Assuming that the vote goes negative both ways, I would assume that that requirement to clean up the water doesn't go away. And basically, instead of us having control over our own destiny, somebody else is going to come in and tell us what to do. Well, I just want to get clarity on that.
Yeah, it's very possible. Right now, they're concentrating on the Cape, but they can come back to address us. We could, and the only reason they didn't dig deep on us is because there was already some strict rules in place.
We had the integrated water plan.
Yeah,
And we had a plan.
Yeah,
And we were
another thing
working
Bob
on the
worked on.
sewer. We were working on it, and we made an argument. It's like, you're gonna make us do it? We're doing it voluntarily.
There you go. So we got.
I'm just concerned about what the future will hold.
No,
in that situation.
absolutely. I think we all are. That's why everybody's spending time here tonight. All right, I appreciate it. Anything else?
Yeah,
I think Mr. Auburn needs to get all those people who want to vote yes.
Get your people.
So Tom, we're gonna get, today's the vote on the sign at the school.
Yeah, there you go.
We can't say vote yes or no, we can say vote today.
We had someone take care of that,
Trying to get the Sons of Auburn after us. All right, anybody, you want to move?
One other thing, Steve, that money that Bobby was just talking about, instead of making sure that that money doesn't get lost or wasted, Bobby, can't that be diverted right for the water for the school?
No, it's gotta go for what was specified.
We gotta get that.
Let's see what happens with the vote, and then there could be some modifications if we need to at town meeting. All right? If you talk about other options, people are gonna say, oh, why should I vote for the first one if there's other options? We'll be imaginative if we have to be after next week.
Stay positive.
Yes. Think positive, Rudy.
okay,
All right.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Manny. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay.